episode will be much briefer than usual because it's an overview of other topics that I hope to cover in the future, such as what is the nature of consciousness and what is the nature of free will. But before I get to that, I have to tell you, today I am drinking my Jamocha shake instead of smoking my pipe. And if you didn't know, the two are much more similar than you might think. Much like you don't inhale a shake into your lungs, you do not inhale a pipe into your lungs. So when I take a draw from the straw, I'm just drawing the shake into my mouth rather than breathing it into my lungs. Do the same thing with the cigar or with the pipe. You draw it into your mouth, then you have the choice to either blow it out through the mouth or through the nose. Now, of course, I could spit out a shake quite easily, but sending a shake through the nose might not be the most pleasant experience. But when smoking a pipe, it's delightful because you can taste the pipe much more through the nose than you can through the mouth. Little fun fact for you. And hopefully a little reassurance for those of you who are worried that I'm going to develop lung cancer. You do get some secondhand smoke when you are smoking a pipe or cigar, but you are not inhaling it directly into the lungs. Now, that's not to say there aren't risks. It can affect your mouth and gums and things like that, but I've done my research and I do like to enjoy the occasional pipe. Now, the subject that I want to discuss is monism versus dualism, and this relates to the mind-body problem. I've already in a different video discussed the hard problem of consciousness briefly. So I've brought up this idea of what is the nature of consciousness. This is something that philosophers and scientists have debated for many, many years, centuries, and it's an ongoing debate. But I want to talk about this in the context of monism versus dualism and the mind-body problem. So monism states that reality is all one thing. Dualism says that reality is two things. Let me put this in the framework of the mind-body problem. So monism says that there is only one thing that exists. And there are two different kinds of monism. The first one is materialism, which is basically the doctrine that most atheists hold to. And it is how most science functions at this time. And it asserts that there is only matter. Matter is the only thing that exists. And therefore, mind is something that emerges from matter. In other words, there was no consciousness in the universe until matter produced a brain that was complex enough and large enough to be self-aware. So that's materialism. And that's how they solve the mind-body problem by saying there is only body. Mind is just chemical reactions within the body. Now, the opposite of materialism and the second form of monism is idealism, which asserts that there is only mind, and that without mind, there is no reality to perceive. So everything that we perceive around us, it exists only in mind. Now, this is widely open to interpretation. It relates to that philosophical question, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound if no one is there to hear it? And you can start getting into quantum physics here, and frankly, I have a very hard time comprehending what it means, so I'm not going to talk about it a lot. At this point, materialism feels a lot more intuitively true than idealism, because, matter feels so real to us. To say that it's only existing in mind, like, what does that even mean? So these are the two extremes: materialism versus idealism. The other option is dualism. In dualism, you are saying that both mind and body exist. That yes, material exists, but material cannot account for mind. Material alone can't account for mind. And that mind is something separate from the body. So I'm not going to comment much here on what I believe is true, but I am enjoying exploring different forms of dualism. And I find the concept of idealism to be interesting as well. It's just really hard to comprehend at this point. But I just ask that you not write it off. And if you are an atheist and materialism, makes sense to you because you feel that all the evidence, supports that, I just ask that you be willing to consider the possibility that the universe is a little more complicated than that, and a little more interesting. There are scientists out there who are really trying to do legitimate work in this area and explore the nature of reality and the cosmos and consciousness outside of just a basic monistic materialist worldview. So let me know what you think in the comments below. What does your gut tell you? Is reality just one thing, or is it two things? How do you feel about the mind-body problem? Are we just mind? Are we just body? Or are we a combination of mind and body? And remember, there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in our philosophies.